Good morning and welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. I have my job still, unlike Urban Meyer, who has been fired, frankly, at long last, by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made the decision late Wednesday night when I'm sure many of you were actually asleep, and it was a needed decision that simply had to be made for Jacksonville. The Urban Meyer error in Jacksonville, pun intended, or I guess phrasing intended, was a disaster. Nothing went right. He was consistently doing something wrong, saying something wrong. He looked like he didn't even want to be there at various points. Jacksonville, under Urban Meyer, almost couldn't have done any worse. It truly was a shit show. Even those, and I know there were many who were like, I don't know if this is the right hire. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be this level of bad. So were the Jags right to fire Meyer? I almost went with yes, or Y for yes, and H for hell yes. But if you're a Meyer family member out there watching and you still think the answer is no, okay, go ahead and do it. Y for yes, N for no. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? He had to go. The funny thing is, before I left the office at Chat Sports yesterday, my parting words were, if I'm Trevor Lawrence and Meyer's not gone by the end of the year, you got to demand a trade or say fire Urban. Because it was clear to everybody this was not working. It was a disaster. The reports that have come out from him kicking his players, calling them either by their position or dipshit, which is... it's, just weird power moves by your head coach. And also, I don't think knowing the name of your players and accusing the coaching staff of being worse than what he had at Bowling Green, it did not work. So now Jacksonville has to reset again. So the bulk of today's video is going to be Urban Meyer replacements. I've got 10 names for a job that I do think is pretty appealing from a NFL head coaching perspective. There are a lot of pieces, namely Trevor Lawrence, to work with. At number 10 on our list, Daniel Hackett, the OC in Green Bay. Now, I think he's pretty well regarded by the NFL from what's been put out there and what I've heard. I will make note, it's kind of surprising to me, there either is a positive side or a negative side specifically to Jacksonville here. Namely, that Hackett was once in Jacksonville, part of the Doug Marrone coaching staff. He was the OC under Marrone, and then he kind of became the early scapegoat and got fired when the offense went from that great one magical year to more typical along the lines for Jacksonville. So is that a good thing, bad thing? I'm not sure. That's why he's at number 10. Now, who should be the next Jags head coach? I think there's going to be a lot of options for Jacksonville, and I think maybe there will be some interest after they whiffed badly on their last one. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break plays here on YouTube, head down to that pinned comment and shoot your shot. Let me know who you think the Jags should go hire. Number 9, Raheem Morris, who did interview for the job last year. He was the Falcons' interim head coach, did a decent job, now is with the Los Angeles Rams as the defensive coordinator. I threw him on here since he was one of 2 guys who interviewed last year and is still out there looking for a head coaching job. Had to include him. I'll make one note, by the way. No college names. Can't do it. Just can't after what happened with Urban Meyer. You gotta go NFL this time around. Number 8, the other defensive mind on this list, Todd Bowles. Look, there are good defensive coaches that could be a candidate. Go look at a Dan Quinn. Go look at a Dennis Allen. You can go look at Vance Joseph if you want. There are defensive minds out there. I think Bowles is the one most worthy of getting a shot as a head coaching candidate. Again, he was a former head coach of the Jets. Didn't go that well. But I think for Jacksonville, overall, man, you got to look offense. You have Trevor Lawrence, who has shown the flashes, the ability to make big-time plays. The issue is his supporting cast is bad, and the coaching staff, frankly, has been a bit of a failure from that perspective as well. So what type of coach should the Jags go hire? O for offense or D for defense? The rest of these names are offensive-minded guys. So I'm typing in my O, but I want to hear from you guys. O for O, D for defense. Number 7, Josh McDaniels. Now, He's had a really weird path in the NFL. Broncos head coach, disaster there, goes back to New England, does a great job, agrees to become the Colts head coach, and then bails on that job, leaving them in the lurch, end up rebounding pretty well with Frank Reich overall. I think that whole process did not earn many fans. I think burned some bridges overall in the NFL, but he's a good offensive mind. I think he would be a good fit for Trevor Lawrence, but that situation is a bit of a problem, I believe, for NFL teams. Number 6, Kellen Moore, as the stock, I think, has dipped for the boy wonder offensive coordinator in the NFL. Hey, at least he's not Joe Brady, also searching for a new job. Kellen Moore in the Cowboys offense was unstoppable earlier this year. Past couple games, not so much. Now, Moore got head coaching interviews last year. He will get them again this time around. I do think the stock is down just a little bit at the current moment, which is going to have to be valid. Now, if he rallies strong down the stretch, helps make a nice playoff run, I think they'll be okay. So, figuring out Kellen Moore's stock is tricky, but if you're looking for a young offensive mind, he's got to be fairly high on your list. Now, if you want to bet, at this point probably against Jacksonville, do it with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. They had actually made Urban Meyer the betting favorite to be the first head coach fired, and, well, that ended up being the case since we can't count John Gruden in that category. Chatsports.com/bet takes you right into the BetUS site. When you use promo code NFL Daily, it'll get you a 125% deposit bonus. And you can bet on all kinds of stuff beyond just the games. You can bet on worst record this year. Jacksonville's plus 1,000. Now, I kind of buy into the rallying around anyone not named Urban Meyer for the coaching staff moving forward, but they're a half game back of that worst record mark, and they already lost to the Texans once. So I actually think Jacksonville's a pretty good value from that one. Put $5 or $10 down on Jacksonville, or if you want to go with the favorite, the Detroit Lions, instead on BetUS. When you put down at least $100, you will get a 125% deposit bonus if you use promo code NFL Daily at chatsports.com/bet. Into our top 5 now. At number 5, Jim Caldwell. I think if you're Jacksonville, what you're looking for in part right now is something resembling stability. Finding somebody who can come in and provide a calming presence for your entire organization and your offense. Do I think Jim Caldwell is a top 10 coach? No, I don't think he is. I think his ceiling is a bit more limited or capped from some of the other guys. Yeah, but we also know he can be a decent enough NFL head coach. The Lions have not been as good since they fired him, which I get why they did it. Did not work out very well. I think Caldwell could be a good fit in Jacksonville just to provide some stability right now. I think a better name in that same category, though, is Doug Pederson, the former Eagles head coach who he was done in Philadelphia. That organization and him were not clicking whatsoever. I think Pederson has shown what he can do with quarterbacks. I think he'd be a good fit with Trevor Lawrence. And I think if you're Doug Pederson, this is probably a job you're starting to look for. I think this Jags job is fairly intriguing overall at the current moment. So I like the idea of going out and looking at a veteran name like a Caldwell, like a Pederson, to help stabilize this organization right now. Now, the Jags firing Urban is the first of many head coaching fire moments we're going to have this season, and we will have replacement videos for any team that fires their head coach. Do not miss out. Subscribe today for that video and videos all year long. That is both the off-season and the regular season. We're your one-stop shop for everything NFL. Hit that big red button, subscribe right now. Number 3 on my list, Eric Bienemy, who did interview last year for the Jags job. Of course, did not end up getting it. Bienemy, for whatever reason, has been a top candidate for years now, has not gotten the job. Maybe he does not interview well. I know there was some stuff in his time at Colorado that I think has raised some red flags for organizations. Chiefs offense hasn't been as good this year, but he's definitely going to have interest again. So how good is the Jags job relative to the rest of the NFL? Scale it for me 1 to 10. 1 being it is a garbage job, Do not take it. You will never be able to win there. It's the Kansas of NFL jobs. 10 being, this is an awesome position. This should be the number one job this offseason. With Trevor Lawrence, cap space, and draft picks, I think it's fairly appealing, which is why if I were Jacksonville, I'd probably fire Trent Baalke too and totally reset for one quick year. I think it's a good job, but I want to hear from you guys. Get those responses in for me in the comments. Time for my top 2 names. Number 2, Brian Daboll, the OC for Buffalo. People don't like how little he runs the football. I am okay with it because they can't run the football. Why do the thing that doesn't work? I think the job he has done with the Buffalo Bills has been damned impressive. I like him a lot. I thought the Jags should have hired him last time around. They didn't really show much interest in him. Let's get that fixed. Explore him. After all, there aren't very many coaches who have shown they can have success outside of the Bill Belichick and the Nick Saban coaching tree. That is what Brian Daboll has done. I am very intrigued by him. Number 1, though, how about Byron Leftwich? Now, I wonder if he is the head coach in waiting in Tampa, but this could be a really good job for him. And I'll make this point as well. It's tough to find that right head coach because the things that make you appealing as a head coach candidate, in this case being a play caller, aren't always the things that work well as a head coach. So it's a different job, and that's why so many coaches flame out. That's why Wade Phillips, an awesome defensive coordinator, not a good head coach. It happens. Leftwich, though, has done a good job in Tampa. He's benefited from Tom Brady. There will be interest in him. If I'm Jacksonville, this is definitely a name I'm keeping my eye out for. They have an early head start now. They can interview coaches before the year ends. Time to get going and make a good hire this time around.